Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV pumped. Let's talk about them. So guys, I think that these are more of like a mining play. So if you guys are newer to crypto, it's very confusing for anybody coming in new. These are like, what is this Bitcoin Cash? What's Bitcoin SV? What's Bitcoin Gold? What's Bitcoin Diamonds? All this kind of stuff. So the 2017, 2018 cycle, there was a lot of forks. Pretty much 2017, there was, community argument over increasing the block size up to an amount that would not be clogging up every single block and stuff like that. Kind of the miner contingent didn't really want that because they were getting high fees for these transaction fees. Personally, I felt like that the block size should have been increased. This is something that had went back clear to like 2014, 2015. The argument raised by Gavin Andreessen, and he was one of the core developers for Bitcoin back then, and he wanted to increase the block size. And then this continued to fester essentially 2017, 2018. Sure enough, the blocks were all full, and we were running into all kinds of issues, which we're still running into issues, especially with the ordinal situation and various other things being thrown on chain. So that being said, we have Bitcoin Cash, which I think has just been in a lot of ways a distraction for people at this point. And then Bitcoin SV forked from Bitcoin Cash, and the major player behind that was Craig Wright, Fake Toshi. So just a lot of drama, and then it's like, well, you're forking a chain that's already inferior technologically to a lot of the other offerings out there. And I've had certain people say, well, why don't you buy up a bunch of Bitcoin Cash? Then you could at least have whole ones, and that would be this unit bias thing. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just buy Dogecoin, or why wouldn't you just buy Litecoin at that point? Which for all practical purposes, Dogecoin and Litecoin have had a bigger market cap for a long time than Bitcoin Cash, but Bitcoin Cash did jump up with this latest pump to be higher than Litecoin temporarily. So over the last year, Bitcoin Cash has appreciated. For a long time, it was bottom feeding around $100. And keep in mind, there was a 1-for-1 with Bitcoin. So there was going to be 21 million of them. And, obviously Bitcoin having a unit value of essentially 28,000 today. And then you have a value of, that this thing had gotten down to $100. So I think partially people had chased after it because it had long-tailed potentially. But I think it's more of a minor play personally. I just think that a lot of it's just being auto-sold, whether it's people mining, Bitcoin SV, or it's people mining Bitcoin Cash. I think a lot of it's being auto-sold. And so, these are some of the things that, might kind of disrupt sort of the buy and sell of these different assets. And because it doesn't seem to kind of follow any kind of real pattern. I mean, other than the fact that Bitcoin Cash had long-tailed for a long time at $100, and that shot clear up and kind of went parabolic up to 300 earlier in the year. Other than that, it's just, I think it's going to be hard to time. In my personal opinion, these are hard to time. Personally, I'm not going to mess with Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV because the ones that I feel like I can time better are Litecoin and Dogecoin. And if you really want to go kind of like with that technology, UTXO technologies, or sort of these older cryptos and stuff like that, I think you're going to be able to time Digibyte a lot better than you're going to be able to time Bitcoin SV and Bitcoin Cash. Just look at the max chart on Digibyte and you'll see what I mean. So you got Dogecoin that's been hovering around basically the same price point, 5 to 6 cents here for a year. And, Litecoin went through the halvening. And so, you kind of have that situation, that's already kind of played out and everything, and people can reaccumulate it. So, after that's all said and done, personally, my whole thinking of it is, and again, I'm going to go back to the mining thing. A lot of the mining operations are not profitable. You see, like, I guess 30% of the Bitcoin mining in the United States is done in Texas. In what way, besides being subsidized energy, subsidized power, could that be profitable, do you think? I mean, there's no hydroelectric dams there for the most part. Most of the hydroelectric stuff is, you know, out in Oregon and Washington and stuff like that. Um, you know, and there's some other places and stuff like that. For the most part, that's where the cheaper energy is. So Texas really isn't it. And then you can say some of these wind farms or solar farms or something like that, but your ROI on that stuff is beyond 20 years, no doubt, and sometimes 40 years. So again, outside of just being completely subsidized by some sort of municipality to attract certain business or certain industry and stuff like that, there is no way that that stuff would be profitable on any kind of scale. So that being said, you know, if they have their whole setup to mine the most profitable coin, that's SHA-256, that their Bitcoin ASICs are going to go after, it could go after Bitcoin, it could go after Bitcoin Cash, could go after Bitcoin SV, and when a lot of like maybe miners dropped off and there wasn't as much sell pressure, then there was enough maybe, you know, buy pressure out there that the price, you know, shot up, and then maybe certain bots or something picked up on it. But outside of that, I just, it's going to be a hard one to time in my mind, so I'm not going after it. What about you guys? Are you going after Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV? Do you see any value out of them besides what I'm saying here? If you're like, hey Brian, that's hogwash, I like Bitcoin SV because of this, and this, and I know they got the fees down and stuff on some of this stuff, but there's not as much traffic on those networks as well, so that's another thing to, I guess, consider. So anyway, guys, let me know in the comments section below, and follow me on all social media at Brian Phobos, YouTube, Instagram, Steam, Twitter, Hive, DTube, Blurt, everywhere.